Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Conversations with Jupiter and Hannibal. But today, Hannibal is not here, but I am joined by my two special guest hosts, Hemi and Fire Red. My studio audience is a little slow
Hey, it's been a week. They kind of hung over. We had a 3-day weekend. Gotta work with them.
We did. We had a 3-day weekend. Did anybody do anything exciting over this?
But the 3-day weekend was like 3 days ago. Y'all, the audience still hungry.
It's Atlanta. We don't know. It's Atlanta.
It's Atlanta, yeah. Detroit, yeah. Y'all got ready to go right back to the car, making cars, but we ain't do that in Atlanta, no. We still, there's the residuals of the MLK. Right. Some of us are still watching the speech, so, you know.
Is that what you're doing?
Yeah.
You sure?
Yeah. Okay. And I'm gearing up because in a couple of weeks, I'll start watching Roots again. Because that's what you do if you during Black History Month, you watch the whole volume of Roots.
Right, but this past weekend, they were not watching the speech.
They're watching something. It wasn't Roots, but they watching something.
Right. They were big black men, I'm sure, but they weren't on Roots.
Go with the wind, but not the version
you thought. They were big black men. Okay, that's just saying. Well, speaking of big black men and men, period, and women and anybody in between, let's just think about some of the things that we're having with people that we meet when we're dating or not dating. I mean, you're in a relationship, Fire Red, so, you know, we're the two single gals here. Does somebody's body count become important to you when you're dating somebody?
Body count as in too many?
As in as many people somebody has had in their sexual partners?
Well, for me personally, it doesn't. Because it's like job experience. If you have never done this before, you're fresh out the gate, I'm like, okay, you're gonna get some experience with this because it's not like the movies, it's not like the pornos, because we watch pornos and they're like, oh, that's what I'm supposed to do is make the noise and everything. I'm like, there's like sensation and everything, so if I gotta teach you that there's a lot you need to know, and I do a lot of stuff, so we're gonna get you up to speed. Whereas somebody who has been with a lot of partners, they've explored themselves in sexuality and what they enjoy and what they don't enjoy, that's experience, and we can see like, all right, so you like this, I like this, I've never tried this, but you great with this, let me try this. I'm great with this, but you haven't tried this. We can have that exchange. Body count doesn't matter it matters in the sense of you have experience, like with a job or position. You're not going to go to a medical student who hasn't even been to med school yet to get operated on. They need experience. And to me, body count doesn't matter for me personally. However, body count, what's the best way I can say this? There are people of the mindset that body count matters because if you have too many guys that run up in you, then it's not any good. But when it comes to a JJ, I'm sorry. If your penis is the size of a baby's head, you need to get that checked out like ASAP because that's not normal. And if it snaps back after a baby and you're talking about it just ran through, sir, I think you need to get that checked out. So for me, body count doesn't matter in the sense of too high of bodies means that, oh, you're ruined. It means, oh, you're very experienced. So we can have some fun and maybe we can see some other things. We can both try it out and you're not afraid of it.
What do you think about that, Hemi?
So, I don't ever ask when I'm dating anybody's body count. Like, that's not a big deal to me. I might ask, have you slept with anyone I know? I like to be mentally prepared for that.
Yeah.
But I'm not concerned with how many people you slept with before you got to me. Like, I really don't want to know. And don't ask me. Like, just know, do I want to know that you're seasoned? Because, like Fire Red, I am not here to teach a newbie. Like, if you have never done anything, that's a lot of effort and time you have to put in. And I want you to. I would prefer my partner be a little seasoned. I
Okay.
like a
Yeah, you ain't
cast
got to get out
iron
the book like.
skillet.
You want
Yeah,
a seasoned but not blackened. I get it.
Right, exactly. But I would prefer you to have a little seasoning. So, for me, body count doesn't matter. I can see, and I think in 2023 it's not as big of a deal as it was in 1960 or 70 or 80 because we were raised in a society that did not allow you to embrace your sexuality like that. Like you weren't supposed to be running around telling people, well, maybe more so for women. You weren't supposed to be running around saying I slept with 100 guys in my lifetime, and I'm 24. I slept with 100 guys. And you were the town whore. But
Right.
it's a little less restrictive now. There are, of course, people still of the thought that you shouldn't have that many people under your belt. But most people lie anyway about if you ask them.
yeah.
Most people are subtracting 50 from what they're
Or they're adding. I've come across this. I've come
Oh,
across their adding.
yeah.
It's like, I thought you said you did this. Well, I've only been with 2 people. Sir, you said you've been with 22 people.
That's true.
I'm gonna need you. I'm gonna need you not to lie about that. I'm gonna need you not to add.
That is true.
Because I think, I mean, you're right. I think when people think about a heterosexual relationship, the woman is supposed to be demure. So if her number is high, that's a bad thing. And if the man's number is high, then we praise him for that. But like you said, Fire, I never really thought about it with lesbians, how that worked, because now you don't have that, different sexes dynamic of it where you're not shunned about having a high, percentage of sexual partners or not. And another thing, like you said, Hemi, yeah, you don't need that. But another thing you said, Hemi, too, is like, I really don't want to know. Like I've found that like when I'm having conversations with guys, when I'm getting to know them or something like that, and they start talking about their exes, and they start talking about this other guy, and I went on a date with this guy. I don't want to hear all of that. Like I really don't, because like you're supposed to be in the now. And I feel like, yes, having some experience or having experience is helpful, but what you're going to do with me is going to be different than you did with these other people. But that whole compounding of, because I think when people
telling you sexually, like what they did with their ex.
Oh yeah.
I thought you meant like what happened in the relationship, because I was gonna say I want to know what happened in your relationship, because that.
Oh no, I'm talking about like this one guy told me
why
he was
you are
like,
how you are.
My ex was 13 inches and we used to do this, and I'm thinking, well, if that's so important, why are you not with him? Like
that would be a turn off for me.
Right.
I don't need to know about your previous.
Right. Like those things don't matter in the fact that I don't gain anything from it. And neither one of us are gaining anything from the fact that you're telling me, your sexual exploits and
like I might ask, have you ever done A, B, and C?
Mm-hmm.
Because I want to do it with you. And
but you're not going to ask them who they did it with.
I'm not going to say who you did it with and how big was the dick, or like those things are unimportant to me.
Yeah. But on the flip side, when it comes to women, body count does take into account and body count as well when it comes to the heteronormative lesbian couples. Like they, like for some reason, they will not be with a woman who is bisexual, but they will be with a woman who has 3 kids, but is now a lesbian. I have yet to understand this math, because that math just says that math, and I've done differential equations, calculus 3 and all that shit. It does not math, because you're worried about they worry about body count, like, oh, have you slept with so and so and so and so and so and so, and they don't tell you that the lesbian circles, when it goes into like it's weird spaces within spaces. So you have the studs that, oh yeah, I was with this girl and I cheated with her, but it was cool and everything, where they're seen as the masculine one and they slept around, so they're experienced. But if the femme does that, oh, she a hoe, she a thought, she all this other stuff. So we do have that on the flip side, on the women's side. And it's like an emulation of heteronormative relationships that you get with it comes to body count and somehow bisexual women are that's just weird. And it's their praise. The studs will be praised for being with other women in their younger years. Like, yeah, I've been through this person, not realizing that the circle for like lesbians, especially when it comes to stud and femmes in certain areas. Like I lived in Louisville, that circle was tiny. I was on the outside and I saw all the drama. I was like, holy fuck, you were with her, you cheated with her, y'all broke up, so you're with her now, but you're sleeping with her, and then meanwhile your best friend is sleeping with your ex.
And they're all at brunch.
This is
it's like a soap opera. You only got so many people to pick from, so you got to just keep switching.
And then they try to bring in like, oh, I turned this girl who was with this dude, and I turned her. I was like, honey, there's no turning anybody. I mean, you may be an experiment. She may really love you. The world will never know until it comes crashing down. And I'm going to be watching this with popcorn. And then when a woman does like, oh, you've been through a class example, femme girl, she was with couple of studs and slept with different ones and didn't tell nobody because she was like, I just want to have fun and just get off. They come with backpacks. I just rotate them out every couple of days.
Okay, Dora.
You do what you do. But somehow she was the hoe. She was a thought. She was that freak that was going to do all this stuff, but she would not be faithful and everything. I'm like, but she's sleeping with you and your friends. Your friends don't talk to each other because if you're sleeping with her, your friends sleep with her, your other friends sleep with her. It's like 3 of y'all sleeping with the same chick. But all y'all are sleeping with her, and y'all just find out like y'all are upset about this. Meanwhile, y'all sleep with other girls. So it's a double standard. So body count will matter in that sense of it's okay for the more masculine, but not for the more feminine. Now it's changed up a lot more. Now it's gotten more lax with that, but it used to be like, no, chick can't have a high body count because I want to be the one. I want to be the only. I want to do this. And like, you don't want job experience? Like, seriously?
But we have that too. You know that, Hemi. Like a lot of times bottoms having a high body count or being more promiscuous, they kind of get a certain air about themselves that people will put them in a category. But if you're a top, you can bang all the girls out that you want and nobody has a problem with it. And that's kind of weird because that is also taking on some kind of heteronormative idea of if somebody's a bottom, he's feminine. If somebody's a top, he's masculine. And so it kind of falls in that same kind of circle.
I think it's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I was wondering if you were stopped for a moment. I was like, did it freeze?
Oh no. I just think in 2023, so much of the normative has changed. Like a lot of feminine boys you see are the tops and a lot of masculine boys you see now are the bottoms. So I just feel like a lot of that, what we might have known in like the early 2000s, I don't know how old Fire Red is, but people were put in a box.
Mm-hmm.
But the box is so flipped upside down now that it's hard to pigeonhole one person to one thing. As far as the feminine one should be this and the masculine one should be that, it's so all over the place. Like you never know what you're getting anymore.
Yeah, because back then, and you couldn't get out of that box. It's kind of like how you came out, whatever box you fell into, you stayed in that box.
That was your box.
Now, if you moved out of state, you could recreate yourself. And then somebody was like, she was a bottom in New York, but now she's a top in Atlanta. Mm-hmm. So it would be those kind of things. But you couldn't kind of go back and forth back then, or it would be situations where you met a guy who was masculine that kind of would flip for you, but in public, nobody knew about that. So it's like your little dirty secret and stuff. But in that same place, can we just look at these people as just people and not a number? And maybe I think that that's what offends people or maybe disgusts people about somebody having, a lot of sexual partners is that they're looking at this number as not being people.
Right.
And so now that this number is people, that was my choice to share that with you or not. because what I do with somebody else is really our private business. It ain't really for me to go and tell everybody, this is what happens, and we broke the chandelier, and we got to pay for the hotel room because we broke the bed. Like, you really don't have to be doing that. So I think that's the part that I've kind of put in my head about it, because I can say I was at a point sometimes in my life where if I felt like somebody was a little bit too much and I knew I was too much, I'd be like, I don't know, like, she been ran through too much, like, or she just do too much. And then realizing, because I wasn't so much showy about what I did, I probably would have gotten that same response from people if I put myself out there like that, opposed to being like, in a sense, like a closet situation. These other people sometimes are just putting it on display so everybody knows. But now you're in a relationship, Fire. Do you find that these skills and being so seasoned, have they helped you?
Yeah. I mean, I'm married. We're polyamorous. We also swing, and we have partners. We have partners outside of our marriage. And there are things that I want to do that, going towards the, darker side of things, I had to find can do that with somebody else. But when it comes to our interaction, our intimacy, the body count doesn't really matter. It's just we have experience and we know we're like, okay, well, I've done this. Let me show you this. Oh, this is great. You enjoy this. It helps us as far as our connection intimacy, because we can try different things and we're not afraid to just like, oh no, I don't want to try that. It's too weird. I'm not supposed to do that. I'm supposed to be pure and holy. Like, no, we're not doing all that. And we make it fun. We make it silly. The body count doesn't matter at the end of the day, because the connection is what really matters. And being seasoned as far as knowing what to do sexually, that helps. And that also gives the confidence to try something different or try something new or try it in a different area or environment. It's also confidence in building that confidence builder, in that that your partner enjoys something, your partner's willing to try something with you, and you're not going to be like, what if I get it wrong? Because if you get it wrong, just come back. If it hurts, all right, let's talk about it. Let's step back. And there's a communication that's had that's verbal and nonverbal too.
And I think also the part about the communication, like you said, is sometimes when you go into situations, that you're not going to do it into it for a relationship. Like some people are dating for the purpose. And sometimes the purpose of them dating is to just have sex. And sometimes the purpose for them dating is to end up in a relationship. And sometimes the purpose they're dating is to be, like you said, part of a triad or a polyamorous relationship where I know that I'm not the main person, but I know that I have a place in this whole kind of, sphere of relationships or people that are inside of it. So I think that's another thing where just, knowing your intent for whatever you're doing should kind of supersede the fact that you've done it with, 1,000 people. That was what you wanted to do. I mean, it is your body to use the way you would like it to. So.
And I'm going to be honest, I think it's mad weird when people obsess about body count, because are you obsessing because you're thinking that you're being compared because you think you're shitty? Or are you more worried about who's been in there? Why are you worried about the person that's been in the person versus the person themselves that you're with? Like, why? That's kind of weird. You're obsessing about the past partners and you're asking questions more about the past partner than about the person that's in front of you that you want to get to know. It's kind of weird. Just saying. Like, did you want to be with the person that used to be up in me? I mean, I can give you their number, how to contact them, because obviously, that's kind of weird to obsess about that. And it shouldn't be, oh, they got a high body count. And okay, so if you're worried about being compared to past experiences, communicate and be better, or see what you can fulfill with that person, because not everybody's going to be the same when it comes to intimacy. What do you feel fulfill for them intimately? Like, is it softer? Do they need it softer for you? And then you just have a fuck buddy where they just bang it out because they want that bang out and then that's it? I mean, you have to have that communication and that confidence in that, and obsessing about what the person did in the past versus communicate with the person that you're trying to be with. And please, there needs better communication. And people, I think a lot of people miss that part of the person that you're with now. Their body count shouldn't have any bearing on who's been up in them. Who is this person that you're with? How are you going to communicate what your needs are, and how are they communicating what their needs are, and how can you make it work if you really want serious about being with them, or if you just want to bank it out, have that communication. Yo, I just want to fuck. Okay.
But I think the other part about that too is, when you think about the people you've been with, I can even see myself. Every person I've been with, I have not had penetrative sex with. Sometimes it was a hand job. Sometimes it was a blow job. Sometimes it was, an old school, just, humping around, and that was it. So that person is still somebody I had an experience with. So I think when people think of a body count, you think that they're just penetrating and doing something with everybody. Sometimes that's not the case. Sometimes it's just intimate interactions with people too.
And it's the whole definition of sex is more than just penetration. That's it. Go for it. There's a lot to go with sex. I mean, there's even mutual masturbation.
I agree. And I think a lot of people go, oh, it was just head. It was. That's a little bit of head. It was a little head in the back of the bar. That don't count. That's not. That's not a body. That don't count as a body.
But I think that when somebody sees you go to the bar every Monday night, giving a little bit of head in the back of the bar, you start getting a name too for yourself, because it's like, oh, he just going around doing that. Because I've known that people would be like, oh, everybody just doing this stuff. Then he think he gonna be kissing up on me. Oh no, I saw him in that back there going on his knees. No, you ain't gonna come kissing me. It just
you're definitely not gonna kiss me that night.
You get some Listerine, get your toothbrush, swish and brush.
That could have been the best makeout session you have ever had.
Not with 6 other dicks on your breath, and I don't know you, and I'm just meeting you that night. Like, that's not my ministry. Like, I go home, freshen up, and let's meet up tomorrow.
Why don't you hear me? Oh, the stench of 6 dicks is too fresh. I mean,
right.
Exactly. Too fresh.
You could give me some head as well with the other 6 people, but we're not going to kiss that. I don't know. And it's not about a body count thing. It's just, I don't know these people.
Right, because you're like, I didn't choose to partake in sucking 6.
Yeah, it wasn't an environment where I thought we were coming to do this. And you have randomly done all these things with people who have not been vetted. I don't know these rando. I don't know. That's just me.
And you're basically coming as their representative. And so I don't really know you. So
it's not a body count thing. That's just a random thing to me. Like, I'm not,
because we do have these spaces in gay bars that people are able to react on things at the moment. Like, I don't remember going to a lot of straight bars that had back rooms that people can hang out, have a drink, have a cigarette, go in the bag, have sex, and then come back out and just continue to have a good old time. Like, watch my drink for me, please, and go back and do something. So I think that is kind of I'm not going to say it was a special thing, but it's kind of like something that's kind of synonymous in some of our bars, that we have these back spaces.
But I think that comes from the fact that we
didn't have a space
in public. So you had these bars that would allow you to take care of your business, and then you could go back on the street and be straight, because that's how people had to be back in the day. But it's just something that has carried over. Like, yes, you can go to the gay bar and get your life, but you can't always go to the straight bar. They like,
unless you go to the swingers
club.
Swingers club is different. Yeah. But they're not going to tear down those back rooms to make room for 10 more people to dance on the dance floor. No, that's not going to happen.
Right.
But I knock 3 times. I'm not knocking anywhere, sir. I don't know who you are.
Right.
I know I'm in the swinger space. Can I get a drink first or something? Like, is there alcohol? No. Okay.
Has it ever been a case where you have felt that being promiscuous has hindered you?
That goes into some therapy when I had to deal with I enjoy sex, but I'm also in the church. In my teenage years, whenever like my from ninth grade up until like 11th grade, I had a lot of sex randomly in the schools. But I was also in the choir and I was in Sunday school, and I had to deal with the whole I'm in the church. I'm supposed to be this person that's in the choir that knows information. Like I can remember Bible verses back then, like a computer. But I really enjoy sex. I really like. At one point, I did like brothers back to back, and then yeah.
Well, all right.
I mean, you were already in church, so I guess why not?
Well, this wasn't in church. This was in school, like in high
Okay,
school.
well, you were in school, and why go to class? Yeah, I mean, I can see that.
And then I had to go to Wednesday night Bible study. It's just that was that point of it was really hard for me to balance that and to understand what was happening as a teenager. As I got older and started deconstructing everything that I was taught from like when we moved back to the States, when we started going to church, when we moved back to the States on, and who I was, it was that whole. It was a lot of therapy. I'm gonna tell you, therapy had to unpack a lot of that and how to unlearn a lot of the promiscuity, and how it affected my life. And what was more important? Was it important to live up to the standard of the church and what people saw me as, or was it more important for me to be me? Obviously, it was more important.
And that right there is different, is understandable, because I remember for myself going to Catholic school, I always felt like I was two different people. It was like my go bag was, okay, I'm going to leave my regular book bag in my locker. And then when I leave school, I'm going to go to the village. And then I was that person. But those worlds were never supposed to collide, because who I was in Catholic school and who I was in the village were two different people. And then, like you, Fire, when you come out during puberty, it's very different than when you come out like in college or something like that. I feel like you kind of skip, see, so you kind of like if you come out in college, you skip all the stuff that you went through in puberty. So a lot of times, if you don't come out in college, you may date more girls than somebody who already came out in high school. Is like, I ain't really do this.
Oh no, don't get twisted.
Growing up in New York, I had all these other exchanges to be around gay men that if I lived in a small town, I wouldn't have had those opportunities. So it was like a catch and grab type thing.
But don't get it twisted. I had to come out in college as being. At the time, there was not language for what I was. I hated labels, and I'm very more non-binary, still feminine, but still woman, but more gender fluid, I should say. I had to come out in college when it came out to that part of myself as far as sexuality and wanting to be with more girls and women. In high school, I banged a lot of guys. Like there was no lesbians, there was no gay men, even though there were a lot of gays, but nobody came out in high school because I mean I graduated in '99, so I'll be 42 this year. So
a baby.
Oh my gosh. So
for you, in like middle school and stuff, you were still in the closet, like no experiences at all?
Absolutely.
In middle school,
I didn't have any experiences till college, men or women. I was a late bloomer. I was very shy and awkward, and most people don't believe that knowing who I am now. But I was very shy and awkward, except for my small group of friends. Like I was always who you know now. But I was very in a new group setting. I was very shy, and one of my best friends to this day, I met him, and he ended up telling me he was gay. He took me to my first gay bar, and he kind of brought me out of my shell. But yeah,
did you think you should be there?
I was very curious. I knew that I was curious, but I will say, like, all through high school, and this is the guy's honest truth, I didn't think I was gay. I just thought, oh, guys are attractive. My mom calls girls attractive all the time, and she's not a lesbian. So, because I think this guy is attractive doesn't mean I'm gay. That was how I came to terms with what I was thinking in my head in high school.
So you thought you were a straight guy that thought that some guys were attractive.
Oh, he's handsome.
But that's as far you knew you were going to marry a woman and call it a day.
Then I got in college and got around other, like, I went to a school that had lots of gays in it, but the ones that were out and proud were very feminine. So it was like, hey girl, but you kept moving. As you get older, you find out like, oh, like 25% of the guys in my graduating class were gay, but we all were hiding in the closet. Or they were doing stuff with each other and not saying anything. I had no clue. So I was a little oblivious to everything. I am no longer that way. I'm very seasoned now.
That cast iron skillet, you know.
But back then, no, I was very oblivious, and I didn't judge anybody for what they did. It actually made me more curious to hear what people were doing.
So you just saw people having boyfriends and girlfriends, and you were just like, "Hey, I'm just here." Third wheel.
I had a girlfriend senior year. We never had sex.
Mm-hmm.
We messed around some, but we never actually penetrated. Then we went.
She's on your body count. She's on your body count.
When I came back from college on that winter, like for Christmas break, and we were messing around, I could tell she had done way more than I had. I was like, you know some new things, and this is real weird for me because I know that you've been fucking. And I have not had sex yet. I didn't have sex till my second semester of my freshman year. So we kind of parted ways a little bit because not because she had a body count or anything, but because I knew she was lying to me. She was like, I haven't done anything. And I was like, these moves that you are putting on me right now, you've never done this previous till today.
You've never done this before, really?
She went to a college level health class. Thank you.
Like
those health classes in high school are nothing compared to those college level health classes. So she learned a lot of things. She was very attentive in class, and she came back to show her men what she had learned, and then you just tossed it in the street.
Yeah. And then I ran into the world of men, and I was like, what am I doing with these ladies? Just saying.
See, I was just like, I like it. They're like, which one? You like men or women? Yes.
Right.
But being that I appear more masculine, couldn't really say that within like the community of lesbians and women who came over to being lesbians after leaving their husbands and boyfriends. I couldn't really say that because there's a stigma attached to bisexual women or pansexual women or omnisexual. It doesn't matter. There was a stigma. And to some degree, it still is in the Black community, but not as heavily. Because now it's a weird thing that I'm watching. When I go on TikTok, I watch back and forth where you see older lesbians are telling younger lesbians, y'all being studs wrong. Like, are we having this war now? Well, let me pull up some chairs, some popcorn for this war. What's going on? You shouldn't be dating two studs can't date each other because that's gay.
What?
And that's why I'm saying they have those heteronormative ideas because a stud and a femme, now that's straight. But two studs, that's some gay shit right there. And they can't have that. You got to stop all of that.
And I'm sitting there just like, okay, let me get out my TI-81 because, I can't get out my laptop for this one. Let me get out the old TI-81
calculator. SAT calculator, yes.
And it's a really weird world where you have the young generation like, I want y'all to break apart all these normatives and this whole idea of body counts because fuck that shit. You need experience. You need to go live your life once because damn it, we only got one life and the way things are going, we might as well just go ahead and enjoy it while we have it. Or it's other ones like, they're just messing up the lesbian community. What are we messing up here? What are you trying to prove here? Like, they're not two heterosexual people together. They're two women. They happen to be studs, or if they're Two femmes are okay, but two studs, oh no, not according to them. But at the end of the day, for me, it's just like, what are you trying to emulate the heterosexual community for? Because if you've watched some of the videos from like body count from like straight, I'm gonna say dudes, that she's been run through, she's got a high body count. I can't be with a girl with a high body count. Sir, you're 54, 55 years old. You don't had like countless women that you've gone through, and now you want to get a 20-something-year-old who doesn't have a body count or a low body count. Sir, you are a used peen that's been for the streets.
Gay men do the same thing. All of a sudden, you're 45 to 65, and nobody in between 45 and 65 is fine. They are old, stuck in their ways, and you got to get a 20-year-old. But you fail to realize you're old and stuck in your ways. That's why you think this way. So it's like, who do you think you're fooling? No, we're not convinced of it. Not at all.
And when it comes to men, well, you have too high of a body count, no man will ever want you. Well, if no man ever want me, why are you in my DMs? I'm also married. Can I be between you and your woman? I kid you not. This guy, you need a masculine energy up in that relationship to kind of balance things out. Sir, you're at the gas station and I don't see you riding nobody's car. You just come to walk up and say that my wife is very pretty, and I come outside and you're like, oh well, y'all need some masculine energy in your. Sir, you're a whole homosexual. I understand that it's coming up on that time of the year that you're looking for a place to stay, but no.
It's too cold to be sleeping in this car.
Like, no, sir. This is not how this is ever going to work. So there's that whole thing being a woman. When people see me as a woman and they're like, oh, well, if you have a body count, nobody's ever going to want you, or the whole, you got too many bodies behind your name, so nobody's going to ever want you. You're going to die alone with your cats. Okay.
That's a bad idea too, because people think all lesbians have cats. I know at times I've thought that too.
I'm like, so okay, I'll die alone, traveling the world, going on the beach somewhere, and probably go out just spectacularly drinking something on the beach in the warmth.
No, home with cats. No, at home with cats. That's the rule for lesbians. They're supposed to die at home by themselves with the cat. So, and the cat's meowing will alert your neighbors that your body is stinking in their pants. So, that beach, it's
if
not.
They haven't nibbled on you first.
Right. They will eat you first.
The food you last ate. But that beach, that's not for you. That's for Karen. She gets to have that. And we don't realize that a lot of times we need these things. Like self-expression is so important. When you were saying how these young kids can just come in and take all of these things on, and they need to expand it in the way that works for them, because in a lot of cities, sodomy laws were like so big, that's why Stonewall happened. Mm-hmm. And so when you think about it, yes, these young kids get to do stuff that we could not do. I remember I would be on a train from Nostrand and Kingston and Troop until I got to about World Trade Center. Then you can kind of fag it up a little bit. But when you got to World Trade Center going back to Brooklyn, you better butch it up, because you can't do that. Now Right. Now these kids are gay from 125th Street to going Christopher Street, and they don't stop. So, and that was 25 years ago or so for me. So I see how they are now. It's like they do have kind of the world at their oyster with working and being sexual fluid, and being able to say, hey, I can be trans at work, or I can come to work dressed in drag, or I can be a man and I can work and have a whole lace front. And where before those people didn't serve you at McDonald's, and they did not give you sneakers at DSW and stuff like that. But now people are able to do those things. So I think the hindering them is unnecessary. And then it can't stop, with social media and how they're able to communicate. We only had the bars, we only had the bathhouses. That was about it. But now it's like these spaces for young gay people to congregate. And even on college campuses, I remember my college campus, that little LGBT community was just like, the LGBT alliance was so sad. It was just like we were trying to fight for something that wasn't happening. It was like 3 Black people and a bunch of like white lesbians and gay guys. And we were just like, why are we doing this? And kind of like you said, Matt, didn't realize there was a whole other world of gay people on campus. And we were the only fools that threw ourselves in the forefront. And we weren't fighting for nobody because they were like, you don't represent me anyway. So what are you doing? So now it's kind of like, yeah, my little stupid activism on college campus didn't work because it was like the same 9 of us all the time. Sitting in the student union, looking thirsty. Nobody wanted to talk to us or identify with us. So we were kind of like those feminine guys on campus that nobody would be like, you said, hi, girl, but they didn't want to be associated with or sit at our table in the lunchroom because they said, no, you're not going to peg us to be like that. So, and I remember I had that incident in high school. There was a kid, because I was going around telling people that I was bisexual, because I kind of was, but whatever. And then there was another guy that like I thought surpassed me on the femininity scale. And he said he was bisexual too. And I said, oh no, now if that's bisexual, then I'm just gay. I'm just going to come out all together. And that literally happened in the cafeteria because it got through the school that he was now going around saying. So everybody was like, it's 2 of y'all. And I was like, who else? And then they said him. And I was like, oh no. And
then y'all slept together?
No.
No, I'm just playing.
We never talked. No, because he was an underclassman. And at that point, I was a snob about underclassmen. So I was like, oh, no, we don't talk.
You still are.
Anyway, so I'm talking about my high school story right now. Thank you. So...
That is a trait in you that's been there for a long, long time.
I don't believe that. I don't sign up for that perception of me. I don't. I don't.
Please don't kill me tonight. I still got to work tomorrow. Bill's still got to get paid.
Don't sign up for that perception.
Just saying.
But the other thing is, what I was saying about like the younger generation, I have a cousin who is in his, mid-20s, and he's another one. When I came out with the family, it was different, and we're 2 different types of gay people. And he opened up a gay and lesbian barbershop in New York. Because a lot of times, when you're a very effeminate gay kid and you go into a barbershop, or you're a very masculine presenting lesbian and you go in a barbershop, your experience is so different for somebody like Hemi and I that could kind of pass in a sense when you just go there and shut up and don't say nothing. You realize that those other people have a very difficult time in barbershops. And so that's why he opened up this barbershop in Brooklyn. For that reason, which I thought that was really cool. I would have never thought of that. But then again, I realized if I was younger, I would have not wanted to go to that gay barbershop because everybody would have known that. Where now it's okay to have a gay only barbershop. I mean, they do everybody's haircuts, but it's predominantly gay staff, gay clientele that comes there. But I know if I was his age and it was back then, I would have been like, no, I'm not going there. Right. Because it was just the times that it was. And it was almost like it was okay to be associated with being gay on your terms, but in places that you felt weren't safe, it wasn't okay to do that. So, but now everybody got long nails and lace fronts, or men with beards.
Lace beards. Those are what?
Yeah, that'd be fake beards.
And I like when I saw one flap off, I'm like,
so let me tell you.
I'm sorry.
I saw an ad on Facebook the other day, and it was like a lace front eyebrows. And I have these little small Whoopi Goldberg eyebrows. And I thought, maybe. But then again, I wear glasses, so you're not really going to see my eyebrows. But I did kind of look at, like, it wasn't just like I saw it on Facebook. I actually clicked on it, and it took me to the website, and I saw them applying them. And I thought, a lace front eyebrow. I've always wanted thicker eyebrows. Would anybody notice that I now had thicker eyebrows? But then I realized I sweat a lot. And so what would happen if one fell off and I was in a club?
Don't
I
ask.
would
Don't look.
pick it up and hand it back to you. Like, you dropped your eyebrows.
You would do that. Twin, you dropped your eyebrow. Yes, you would really do that. But it was also, I remember when we used to go out to the clubs because I was too young. I used to take that Maybelline mascara and put it on my mustache to make it look thicker. But then as you're in the bar, because they would put these big old X's on your arms or your forearms so that when you went to buy a drink, you couldn't because you clearly were underage, right? But then I got through and they didn't put the X on, I'm like, oh, I can get a drink tonight. Well, that waterproof mascara really don't work on your mustache. And so when you start sweating and you wipe your face and you have this huge smudge, and my friend was like, you got to go to the bathroom right now. And when I saw my face, I was like, what the hell? And it was the mascara had gone all over my face. And I'm just like, oh, it's hot in here. So I don't suggest doing that either. Then I realized later I can get that just for men stuff and just do my beard. But I didn't know it at that time. I just went to Dwayne Reed and stole some mascara.
Not Dwayne Reed. Fancy
I had the klepto phase of Dwayne Reed. They have like security like they do now and all the other stuff. So it was a lot of 5-finger discounts. But I'm past that. But yeah, no more. All right, so that I don't get arrested and get no warrants from you guys, got me telling you about my criminal record and my criminal past. We're going to wrap this up tonight. Because y'all are okay being quiet. I know I'm not the only one.
You kept going. I was just like, I'm going to learn some more.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, these two light-skinned heifers is just going to be quiet today. Oh, I get it. Anyway, I want to also remind everybody that we publish content weekly, so hit the subscribe button. Also hit the bell to be notified about future videos and content. I would like to thank Hemi and Red Fire for coming in today and joining me on this conversation.
Fire red.
I said Red Fire.
Right.
Fire red. It's like red fire. I mean...
He's a klepto and he's dyslexic. I would like to thank Hemi Onyx and Fire Red for joining me today in this really, really interesting and fun conversation. See you guys next time.
Bye, everybody.
Take care.